Hey guys, my name is Jason with S&J Forest Products, and it's springtime here in the Pacific Northwest, and for me that means a bunch of blowdown. So usually every winter we'll have a snowstorm or a couple big windstorms come through, blow down just a whole bunch of trees. I own 50 acres here. I have about 35 that's pretty wooded, and every year I lose somewhere between 25 and 50 trees, it seems like. And so every spring I come out and I assess kind of the damage, figure out what logs I can buck up and send off to the mill, get a little money for them, and clean up the woods here. So our first goal today is to kind of assess what we got here. Got a bunch of little piles of jackstrawed trees that blew down. We'll go take a look at those, and I'll show you how I get them bucked up, measure them out, and then skid them to the landing to get on a log truck and then send off to the mill. So here's one of my skid trails. And this big cedar tree right here next to it blew over. And we'll get up here and take a look. But it's a pretty nice tree. I would much rather have it standing. But it's down, so we're going to salvage it. And you can see coming through here, this hemlock fell down on top of it. So I got two here, and then there's this spruce top that came out of that tree right there. And I'm debating whether to take that spruce out or just leave it. I might just leave it for wildlife habitat. But these two, this hemlock here and this cedar here, are nice trees. They'll make some nice logs. So one of the first things I got to do is I got to buck the tree back here, buck it off the stump essentially. And this is always kind of the exciting part, because this big, huge root wad, that thing's, I don't know, maybe 10 feet or more tall. When I buck that off, it's going to flop back into the hole that it blew out of. And so I'll get the camera set up and I'll get this bucked off, and you can kind of watch the excitement here. I guess that was a slow motion flop, huh? So I guess I didn't really talk about it before, but you noticed I was standing on the far side of the log in the previous video. And as I did that final buck, the log came towards the camera, away from me. Well, the reason I knew to stand on the other side is if you look down this log, it's hung up on this stump here. And it was kind of bowed around that stump, whichever way around it is. And so I knew that there was tension on the log this way. I was going to push it back towards the camera. So I stood on the far side. It's really important. You got to be able to read your logs and make sure you know where the tension is and everything like that. Because if it was worse, they can come 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet out. Come fast. There's no stopping them. And if you're in the way, they don't care. You'll get pinned under them or whacked by them. So you got to be really careful about what the logs are doing, even when they're down on the ground. I mean, this one's sitting down on the ground. It looks pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but there's always going to be a little bit of tension in there, or it's going to pinch or want to swing or roll or something. So you always got to be on your toes there. But let's take a look at our log here. We've got a little bit of rot in the butt here, which the mill doesn't like. And it's up the log there. Now what I'm going to do actually probably with this cedar is I'm going to go up 8 feet, 8.5 feet, and I'll buck an 8-foot log off of here. And I'll sawmill I'll cut this myself and cut it into fence boards or whatever. But this cedar is a real valuable wood. It's really nice to cut, and I've got a lot of other videos cutting in the sawmill. And so if I send this off to the mill as it is, they're going to deduct, not pay me, deduct several feet off this log, off the length. Whereas I just buck up 8 feet, 8.5 feet. I've got a log that I can use, and then that should, there's not a whole lot of rot there. That should get the rot out of there, and see if we can get a nice 32-foot log out of this thing once the rot's out of there. So there you go, we got all our rot out of there. That's good wood all the way through to the heart. So now we'll go up, limb this thing up, and try and measure off a 32-footer. It'll be actual length of 33 feet with trim. Okay, we got our 8-foot section here. I got her all limbed up all the way to the top. I bucked the top off. So we've got, other than our 8-foot rotten butt log, we've got a 32 right to there. And then all the way down at the other end is another 34. So I figured I can get a couple of 8s and then a 10 out of the top of this one with this top 32 or 34. Its actual length is 35. And then this 33-foot one here I can get 4 8-foot sections out of for the sawmill. So I'll get this one bucked right there. But then we got to take care of this hemlock because it's laying on top. And so I'm actually going to buck him first and get him off of the cedar. And this is actually a nice one because it's clear for the first 50 feet or more. So I'll get 2 logs out of this one. And hemlock aren't nearly as valuable as cedar. I can't actually cut this on the sawmill and make any money at it. So I'll send this off to the mill and I'll keep the cedar for myself because I can sell the cedar for about $5 a board foot. And I can't even sell the hemlock for $1 a board foot if I cut it into 2x4s. So it's just not worth it. So I'll send it off to the mill and get 600 to 1,000, which is 60 cents a board foot as a log, and call it a day. Now I expect I'm going to come down here and buck this off, and because this thing is sitting here on this cedar and it's got a big huge long lever out there, when I buck the end off here, this thing might come straight up, boom. And so I got to be careful of that. And there's not much of a root wad here, but I'm going to be standing out over here. I'm going to, right as I buck it off, I'm going to have just the tip of the bar cutting on the log. So I'm as far out of the way as I can be. So our tree's nice and solid all the way through. This is a western hemlock, and each one of these little dark rings is a year of growth. So I'm going to count these. I won't make you watch, but I'm going to count these up. We'll figure out how old this tree was. All right, I got 111. And measuring across the short way, it's just under 13 inches in diameter. So it's growing, a little more than an inch every 10 years, I guess. So that's slow. That's really slow for around here. This is not a very big tree for a 111-year-old tree. So I don't have a very good site here. My soil isn't very good. And the one thing is, it's look at how uniform the rings are, though. I mean, it's pretty much been growing about the same amount every time. It's not like it grew, 60 to here and then started growing half an inch a year for the rest of its life. So anyway, interesting little story the tree rings can tell you. And then I will, just since we're here, it had real nice growing. And then there was a little section right in here where the rings got real tight. Didn't have a real good decade there, but then it seemed to come back and get back to its normal growth. So anyway, let's get this thing bucked up and we'll make a couple logs. Okay, we got our 2 hemlock here in the pile. And over here behind me, I got my little cedar pile started. That's the stuff I'm going to take up to the sawmill there for my guy Fred, so we can cut up and sell on, Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever. So, but I've spent all this time screwing around with these 3 logs. I spent more time setting up the camera and getting the shots ready and all that stuff. So I got to go logging. I got to get some wood. Right now I've got 21 logs on the pile, and it takes about 35 plus or minus for me to get a load. So I'm going to go grab some more logs. Oh man! Oh, I'm not close. So close.